So I've got here is a winter squash I'm working on, and I'm going to plant it in that bed right over there where the other three are. I'm going to plant 4 of this particular type and maybe 1 or 2 others that are also winter squash that are vining. These are vining, that's why they're in the trellis area. Now where the gloves are sitting over there, that's where I've just planted the green beans, and they'll be coming up. That was 2 days ago. They should be coming up pretty soon, another 3 days or so. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and plant these, and I'll show doing that for you, demonstrating it for you in the camera. So I got them planted every other area here, going straight down from the trellis, which leaves me room for 1 on each end. And they were in that wicking 1020, and I just put them in that little one so I didn't have to worry about it. Bringing the whole tray. As a rock. Alright, so I'm going to put on gloves just because helps keep the dirt from underneath my fingernails, and keeps my hands a little cleaner. So it's very simple to do. All I do is I just take my hand and I pull back like this. The soil is already wet because it's been raining, a light rain most of the day. And it's supposed to continue some, so I won't be watering it in. I will put some aged rice hulls on top like I did with the beans here to finish out this entire bed. So let me show you here. This one's a better example. When you get them in the wicking tray, you'll see that the roots grow through, and that is not an issue. I'll pull this out of the tray with these roots intact, and let me see if I can go ahead and use this one and do it for you right here. I'm going to squeeze either side here, get it just a little bit. And some of the roots will probably lose some. I hope I'm in the camera here. Need to make sure of that. But most of them will be dangling here, and it's just perfect. It's not root bound, and that's another reason, which I mentioned in the first video, is that these roots will travel down into the reservoir and continue to drink and do well in these smaller pots. I'll take this one I just did, and we'll get it low, a little lower than where they were. And then I'll just take and mash it down. It's just that simple. Another little rock. Do it again. Now, cucurbits, like this winter squash, are not as hardy as tomatoes and peppers. So they will go through a little bit of a shock once you plant them, especially if you kill off a lot of the roots. But these will do just fine how I'm doing it. And I really needed to harden them off. I grew them out in the sun at Port Aransas, and then when I came back, because it was cold here still a little bit, especially at night, I brought them in the grow room. And so they grew these two bigger leaves here without being hardened off. So what I've got to do now is I planted on a cloudy day like today, and I'm going to shade these off some so that they can acclimate or harden off. And I may even, since it's not windy, I may even put a small pot on top of them. I haven't made up my mind yet on that. But while I'm filming here, the sun just came out for the first time today, and so I'll keep an eye on and see how long it lasts. So just pull it back with my fingers, squeeze the pot on either side, make sure the roots are kind of straight. And then you'll see that they're loose, and I can stick them in. And plant them a little bit lower than where they were in the pot, which will not harm them at all. So, the two enemies of a newly planted transplant is the sun if they're not hardened off, and the wind if they didn't if I didn't grow them in any kind of environment that blew them around. So when we were in Port Aransas, it was heavy winds. So some of them, when they were smaller, they got a lot of wind. And in the grow room in there, I put a fan on them to blow them around. So I'm trying to mitigate both the wind and the sun potential damage that could be caused. So these four, I'll train them to grow up. I'll show you how I manage those at a later date, and then I'll put two other types, or one other type in the ends here, because I only needed 4 of this particular one. All right, so I went ahead and got the other two of a different crossing of mine. This is also my breeding. And they're going to go in here. Just got to tease these roots out. And I'll put it here on the end. As a breeder, I've been getting into these winter squashes a lot more. And my focus, lost some of the roots on that one. My focus is large storage, long storage with a good size, not huge, not small, and not big, winter squash that tastes fantastic. And so I've been breeding for that. And I don't know that we got there with any of these, but this is a step along the way as a breeder. And you may have noticed, if you follow my channel at all, that I changed my channel. Originally, it was hydroponic gardening and more with Brent, because I was big into hydroponics for a long time, and I did that successfully quite a bit with microgreens, and I still do microgreens. I still sell the microgreen kits and all that, but it's not such a big deal. And then I changed and I started getting into containers a bit more because of the breeding stuff kind of demanded it. I wanted to focus all my attention into breeding, so I changed it a little bit from hydroponic gardening and more with Brent to gardening more with Brent. And then I was thinking about the other day, and I was thinking, gardening and more doesn't really represent what I'm actually doing with the channel now. So vegetable breeding and horticulture kind of sums it up. The vegetable breeding is a part of horticulture, and I want to mention it specifically because horticulture is a general term. It can mean anything pretty much plant related. So there's other things I do with horticulture, like regular gardening, and I still do a lot of regular gardening. It's just that most of the stuff that we eat is stuff that I have bred or am in the process of breeding. And so it's just like these squashes here. I thought it was better that I rename my channel. Okay, so I'm gonna take, these are the aged rice hulls I did with the green beans. I'm going to do the other side of the bed here. I'll speed you up so you don't have to listen to me rattle on. All right, so a lot of people are asking if I'm going to sell my seed. I've been doing this for quite a few years, about a decade now. Thank you, plane. Thank you, Air Force. Salute to all our DOD people, Air Force, Army, and etc. Coast Guard, police, fire department, first responders, all of them. Thank you so much for your service. Took the time because of that plane. So the answer is yes. I'm going to attempt to sell some seed for 2025. It may start late fall, very early next year. And so I'm only going to do it with completed work, because if I name something, that means it's completed, meaning that it's either a direct cross hybrid, which will always be exactly the same. Hybrids crossed using the same parents year after year will be exactly the same, or it'll be open pollinated past the 7th generation. And that seed, you can save open pollinated seed. It'll be exactly like the parent year after year, because the genetics have tightened by 50% every generation that you grow it. So like Masson's Cross, for example, is an open pollinated yellow summer squash that I've grown for well over 8 years, and all the genes are so tight, they're going to be the same general appearance, just like if you get a Cherokee Purple or Brandywine tomato, they're going to be the same when you save the seed. Whereas a hybrid, let me think of a common hybrid, Celebrity or Big Beef or something like that, they're going to be the same year after year, because the two parents are genetically the same. When you cross them, the dominant characteristics from each parent express. It's only after the 2nd generation, so if you save the hybrid seed, it won't be the same. In fact, they'll be all over the place between the two parents. And so that's a brief description of hybrids versus open pollinated. Hybrids, they tend to have what's called hybrid vigor. They're usually a little stronger, and major seed companies that breed hybrids, they breed in a disease package into those hybrids, where they take a good inbred line that has good disease resistance in a certain area, and then they take another inbred line with good disease resistance in another area, and they combine them, and the hybrids are consistent, and they have a lot of times a good disease package. But even today, the open pollinateds cannot be beaten for taste. The hybrids just are not there yet. They haven't incorporated enough attention to taste for the hybrids yet. And so you'll have open pollinated or heirlooms, which are really old open pollinated. That's what an heirloom is. They'll have a great taste because that's what they were bred for. And so year after year after year, selection after selection is with people constantly weighing in on what's good and what's not with those heirlooms. It's raised certain heirlooms or open pollinateds to the top of the flavor list, like Cherokee Purple and Brandywine. And so there's not been any hybrid that's close to a lot of the heirlooms, in my opinion. Now, people that don't discern the taste of tomatoes, they don't have the palate to discern the subtle differences, they're going to say basically a tomato's a tomato's a tomato, and if it's good, like Big Beef is a good tasting hybrid with a decent disease package, that's good enough. So people will sacrifice taste sometimes for disease resistance, so you get some hybrids that are really good, like Celebrity and Big Boy and Big Beef and stuff like that. People have grown them forever. But again, it's hard to beat Cherokee Purple or Brandywine or tons of others. I've got a number of them, heirlooms. But in my breeding practices, I've crossed with these great tasting heirlooms and some of the disease resistant varieties, especially one from an open pollinated version that has great disease resistance from overseas. It was a German variety that I bought in the UK because it's been proven to be disease resistant in a number of areas. So I've been breeding in disease resistance into taste. But Parthenocarpy is my number one. Number two is taste, and then disease resistance. Plant structure is part of the taste profile too, the ability to grow thick, nice, and robust. So Parthenocarpy, if you don't know what Parthenocarpy is, sometimes people refer to it as seedlessness. Seedless happens in Parthenocarpy when the plant's not pollinated. And so when it gets really hot here in Arkansas, July and August, tomatoes stop growing because the pollen's not good anymore because it's just too darn hot. But if you have a Parthenocarpic variety like mine, they will set fruit anyway. And because they able to set fruit, they will have no seeds because the pollen in my tomato, Parthenocarpic tomatoes, is also not good. But the plant itself has the ability to grow past it. In other words, and Parthenocarpy is natural in nature. And the reason why some plants do it is because they still want the birds to come in and eat the fruit and spread it. So if they go a season or two without being able to get seed, then birds will no longer come back. So plants develop capability to be Parthenocarpic to keep them coming. Birds or whatever pollinators eat animals to eat it so that their waste will contain the seed products and it'll spread throughout. So Parthenocarpy is really a miracle in that it allows tomato to be both pollinated, creating seeds so you can grow it again, and being able to grow without being pollinated, which helps in really hot times and really cold times and really humid times and rainy times, any other time. They even grow a little better when there's disease pressure or the plant's stressed out from lack of water or any other reason. My Parthenocarpic plants do a little better than any other type of tomato because of the ability to grow. It's basically like growing a fruit is the same like the plant trying to grow a leaf. It's always going to try to grow a leaf, and in Parthenocarpic lines, mine specifically, it'll always try to grow a tomato. And so that's the awesomeness of Parthenocarpy. And yes, I am working with a geneticist and an attorney to try to bring this forward in a way that's the way that I want to do it, because it's my Parthenocarpy. I call this Parthenocarpy Pet B. And so why did I get off on this tangent? I don't know why I got off on this tangent, but you do because you just watched it. Anyway, I'm very proud of that, and I grow I'm so into breeding vegetables now. I started with squash, and then I migrated into tomatoes only because I wanted to be able to grow tomatoes that did better in our high heat, and squash as well. Plus I like the creativeness of it, creating my own thing. And so I've done that quite a bit, and tomatoes are my main focus, which is probably how we got onto tomatoes. But anyway, everything I grow and why I changed my channel is based on breeding vegetables. It's also like this, I've got some gardening techniques that I'm incorporating. I don't get into the super simple stuff much. I mean, I did here, I planted them, but I also explained why I planted them and some other things that other people might not be able to show you. Because we all know now that everybody getting into YouTube is just regurgitating the same old junk. And I don't like to be like that, and I certainly don't like to put clickbait stuff up or try to impress you with, like, you know, these are my top 5 things I grow, and if you grow these, you're gonna be happy. It'll be the best thing ever since sliced bread. Increase your production by 30% or 100% or whatever. I don't do that because it's deception and to me and lying and at least fibbing to a degree. So basically what I've said since the very beginning is I'm showing you what I do. So anyway, these plants, you can see the sun's out now. These are going to wilt very soon because they're not used to it. So I need to get some little shades onto them and let them acclimate. And so now the last thing I need to do is I put a little tag, like you see this tag here, because this has a trellis on it, which is half a cattle panel. Whereas the one right over there does not. Those peppers are on this cattle panel facing this way. That way when I walk by I can turn and look and see what that pepper is right over there. So with these, I'm going to put a tag on it facing this way so I'll know what every one of these are. And they're going to be more or less at not eye level, but where I could see it standing up easily. So that's the last thing I'll do. There's no point in showing that. But anyway, that's planting the first of my cucurbits. I've got some more to do. I hope you'll continue to watch. That's it for this video. Please subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, tell me if I'm full of it, tell me if you want to see something different, tell me if you want me to go sensational and clickbaity. I'm just kidding, I'm not going to ever do that. And thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
How long do we gotta stay?